All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dids in the Dugout. Me and Hitch are back here once again to give y'all our weekend recap. The Rebels had a real tough time down on the Bayou. We did a show after game one, so there's not a whole lot of reason for us to rehash that. We all know what happened there with the Rebels dropping the series opener. So we're just going to talk about these next two games a little bit and what lies ahead for the Rebels. So we'll go ahead and dive into that. First of all, Hitch, how you doing, bud?
Doing excellent. A lot better than the Rebels are after that weekend. Boy, what that was surprising.
It was unexpected, wasn't it? It never once crossed my mind that we were going to go down there and get swept. And quite frankly, I don't know why it never crossed my mind, but I never thought it was even a possibility.
Yeah, I wrote down in my notes that I'm sure I won't get to because I always forget that I wrote them when we're talking about the game. I wrote down in there somewhere. It's hard to believe that LSU's having such a tough year with Gage Jump and Luke Holman there, and then the bullpen was excellent
Really
this
good.
weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just goes to show this league's crazy. And I mean that team that LSU fielded and the pitching staff they put out there, the lineup they put out there shouldn't be whatever 12 and whatever in the SEC.
13 and 17 now. Yeah,
Yeah,
the sweep got them to 13 and 17. That's going to more than likely punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament, I would think. I think LSU is going to get in after that, especially if they're able to pick up at least one win in Hoover this coming up week. But look, just kind of, but before we dive into each game and kind of break them down, what happened overall, it really comes down to the fact that Ole Miss's offense just let them down this weekend, right? We pitched well enough Thursday and Friday to get a win, and the offense just laid eggs on us.
yeah. I mean, I also referring to my notes again after the game on Saturday night. I wrote the very last thing that I wrote was this offense desperately needs Ethan Leger back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, we talk about it in a little while when we talk about what we're going to do in Hoover. But I think that there was a bit of good news this weekend for him in that wrist or that hand. He may be available for Hoover. We'll see. But what a shot in the arm that would be going into a tournament that we probably have to win to get a bid to the to the postseason.
Yeah. I don't think might have to win is the way to phrase it. We have to win it right now. There's
Sure.
absolutely no other path to the regionals for the Rebels without winning the SEC tournament. I don't think now. But looking at this Friday night game, game two of the series, LSU wins that one 4-2. It didn't feel quite as close. We made a little bit of a run there at the end, but the Rebels are down 4-0 there pretty quick. LSU scores a run in the first, run in the second, 2 runs in the fifth, and Ole Miss is down 4-0 before we get that big home run from Luke Hill to cut that thing in half, and made a little bit of a threat there in the eighth inning. Got runners on first and second, no out. And that's just as far as it went. Kind of the story of the weekend, particularly Thursday and Friday. Saturday wasn't particularly close all the way through. But Thursday and Friday, there seemed to be opportunities if we were ever able to string hits together. That's what got us Thursday. I think we ended up, I don't have it pulled up, but I think of like 11 hits or something like that on Thursday. But none of them were strung together there. I
Right.
think we hit the ball enough to be competitive, but none of them were strung together that resulted in runs. Kind of the same thing here on Friday. Only 6 hits, but again, that big spot in the eighth inning where we have runners on first and second, no out, and then we get Andrew Fisher up to the plate, right, with no outs. Jackson Ross, Jackson Ross was up to the
Yeah.
plate
Two,
after
three,
that,
four.
and yeah, 2, 3, 4, then followed by Furness, obviously. Wasn't able to get anybody in. That kind of felt like the nail in the coffin for the Rebels during that point.
Yeah. I think that Thursday night, if Thursday night was any indication of how what the story of the weekend was going to be. It pretty much played out exactly how I expected it to. We just didn't get timely hits, and Tommy White walked all over us.
Yeah.
The first thing I had written down is the bottom of the first. Tommy White crushes a ball. It wasn't a terrible pitch. His hands are unreal. I mean, it was a pitch that was at his neck. And I think probably what happened there is that you hear people. You heard Ben McDonald talk about it a couple of times. Is when you have a guy like that who's throwing that letter high fastball, you're trying to find the top part of the ball so that you can barrel it up. And so if that ball is at the letters like Tommy White thinks that it is, he's looking at the top of the ball, right? But it's at the neck. So then that puts the ball, he's swinging at the bottom of the ball, man. And he hit that ball. When he hit it, his hands whipped through the zone. It was impressive to watch.
I think the more impressive at bat that he had wasn't the home run, but when he came up in the third inning, Liam made a really, really good pitch on I believe there was 2 strikes in the at bat at that point, and he throws him a slider down and inside. It's not a strike, and the way he's able to get his hands inside the baseball, drop the barrel of the bat, and he drives that sucker halfway up the wall at that point. And I'm surprised he didn't put a hole in it. Yeah, so absolutely smashed it. Tommy White was on another level than every other hitter that was in that stadium all weekend.
Yeah, 8 hits, 6 extra base hits, 21 total bases, like 3 bombs, a triple, 2 doubles. Went absolutely bananas.
Nuts. Yeah.
This weekend on the Rebels. But at the same time, that's only half of the story because we had chances and opportunities, even there on Saturday, like you said, or Friday, like you said, late in the game, late in the game, we had the tying run on base, 2, 3, 4 in the lineup up with no out, and just couldn't get it done. Tough weekend for the Rebels at the plate.
Yeah, it was one sliver of success for the Rebels. Outside of Saturday, the bullpen was really good on Thursday and Friday. Josh Mallets came in, wasn't really sharp, honestly, but able to pitch an inning without giving up any runs, 2 walks, no strikeouts. Wes Mendez has continued this incredible run that he's on right now. That is one thing that you can look at least for the future of the Rebs, and say that guy has the potential to be an absolute star for us. He goes 2 1/3, 1 hit, 2 walks, 4 more strikeouts. We talked about it ad nauseum last week. There's no reason to go over it again, but I'm just really impressed every time I see him pitch with how effortless it is for him. He's really fluid in his motions. The fastball plays a lot higher than what it reads on the radar gun. Just really encouraging stuff from Wes Mendez. I think that's one thing to point to, not only this weekend, but the couple weekends prior, and say, hey, that's a kid that's going to be able to get some things done for us, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised when Mike came out of the dugout there, and I thought, or not surprised he was coming out to talk to Mounts because he just walked 2 guys. But I was like, we're going to the bullpen, okay. And then I saw Wes Mendez. I said, wow, okay, we've got like 4 right-handed batters coming up. And nothing against Wes Mendez, right? Yeah, I mean, nothing against Wes Mendez, but like I just thought this doesn't make baseball sense. And he trotted in, and first batter, I thought, here we go, we're putting people on in front of Tommy White again, whatever. But he made some incredible pitches to Tommy White and to Jared Jones, and got us back into the dugout. It was the highlight of the weekend, maybe outside of the Luke Hill bomb. Was that 2/3 of an inning there by Wes Mendez?
Yeah. Just kind of setting up the situation you're talking about. LSU has runners on second and third with no out at that point, right? And then Mendez comes in to face Michael Braswell, the right-handed hitter, and ends up walking him to load the bases with no outs with the hottest hitter on the entire planet coming up to the plate in Tommy White. And all he does is strike out Tommy White, turn around, strike out Jared Jones, and then get Travinski to get out of the inning as
Yeah.
well. You know,
And another guy who had a huge weekend, Travinski.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if I don't know if you caught it, but Wes Mendez dropped that last pitch in there that he got the backwards K, and
Mhm.
Travinski dropped his arms and he put his hands up beside him and looked at Mendez like, what?
Yeah.
It,
No,
it, it was it was almost like if he disagreed with the call that the umpire made. He thought that it was a ball. That's the same
mhm.
reaction he had, but it was right down the, I mean, it was a strike, obviously. So I mean, it was almost like he said, I don't know what you want me to do with that. It was
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, I didn't catch that because I was having to pick up kids at that time with start
Mm-hmm.
time moving up. But what I can tell you for 100% fact is that everybody in that school pickup line knew exactly what Wes Mendez just did because I was losing my mind in that car. Jeannie didn't know what was going on in the back seat. Dad, what are you doing? What's going on? Why are you yelling? Well, Wes Mendez just in here shoving down on the body right now. So that really got me fired up, obviously. And then kind of like we've already talked about, we had that run in the eighth inning where we had a chance to get back into it. Before
Mm-hmm.
we move on though to the Saturday game, one thing we kind of talked about privately a little bit when it happened. Really happy for Luke Hill to get that home run there in LSU. Baton Rouge kid, obviously coming back home. It was a really big hit at the time that got the
Mm-hmm.
Rebels back in the game. So that was really nice to see from Luke.
Yeah, I mean, because I think right, he hit that ball, and then we went in and got out of the inning, shut down inning, and come back out ready to, put some more runs up, and it just wasn't
Just didn't
there.
happen. No,
Just didn't
yeah,
happen.
yeah. So the Rebels end up dropping game two there, going to 0-2 in the series. Going into the Saturday game, if the Rebels had any hope whatsoever, the smallest sliver, even though nobody has ever gotten into the NCAA tournament at 12 and 18, uh, they had to have this game on Sunday. And quite frankly, it was just an egg laid by the Rebels here. We end up losing 9-3, getting out hit 12-7. And once again, it was our guy Tommy White, right? 2 for
Dude,
5, 5 RBIs, had the
I
grand
fell in love with
slam.
Tommy White.
He was unbelievable all weekend long. Looked like Charlie Condon up there, right? One of those hitters, Charlie Condon, Jack Caglione, Christian
It,
Moore, any of those
except
guys.
except all of those guys, except somebody I want to go hang out with.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So you would go out to the bar and have you a beer with Tommy White at some point, then, huh?
I would bet a year's worth of my salary that me and Tommy White would get along just fine.
100%. I don't doubt that one bit. Kind of looking here, Mason Nichols struggled a little bit. 3 innings, 4 earned on 5 hits, 3 walks, only 1 strikeout. Uh, and then
He
this
just
is where
wasn't
the
fooling
bullpen.
anybody, right?
No,
Like
no, no. That's
he
again.
just
And to your credit, you had sent me a message in the first inning after that first inning. Ole Miss
yeah.
was down 2-0, and you said, "Look, man, he doesn't have it. You need to go get him out of there." And turns out that would have absolutely have been the right move. He did put up 2 zeros after that, but you never felt like he was totally in control,
Mm-mm.
did you?
No, not never. I mean, it just everything was up or elevated. It felt
Mm-hmm.
like, and he just wasn't fooling anybody. And at that point, my thinking is, okay, let's go to the bullpen, maybe salvage this game if we can. If not, I think he was only at like 20 pitches or something. I was like,
Yeah.
maybe he can come back on Tuesday and give us a chance there in that first game in Hoover. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
he battled 3 innings, 68 pitches, like you said, 4 earned runs. Just when you
Yeah.
go up
And
against, I don't know, man. I don't know that anybody gets Tommy White out this weekend.
no, 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 absolutely not. You would have to be Hagen Smith to have a chance at getting Tommy out, and I'm not even sure, as good as Hagen Smith is, how he would have fared against him. But then you had a couple young guys come in out of the bullpen, guys that have pitched a lot of innings for us, hit a little bit of a wall. Mason Morris, Braden Jones, both end up giving up 2 earned runs there. Both end up walking the batter. Only one strikeout between them. Not going to say a whole lot of bad things about those two, though, because they've really saved our bacon on several occasions. They've been thrown into the fire a lot this year. Two pieces that I think are going to be big for us going into next year. And then Ryan Rodriguez, 2 2/3, 1 earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. JT Quinn with the scoreless outing. And then the great mystery is solved. Our man Mitch Morrell comes in for the third of an inning.
I guess. There's a couple of things here that just, I don't want to say irk me, but we had already seen Mason Morris and Braden Jones, I think, previously in the series. You've got other guys out there in the bullpen like Patrick Galley, Sam Fukui, and Mitch Morrell, apparently, who hadn't pitched in 2 weeks. I guess, hell, it worked against us. They ran Christian Little back out there on Friday, and he just absolutely, dominated. So maybe that's what Mike's thinking is, running these same guys out here. But, because I think Mason Morris and Braden Jones were both successful on Thursday night, I think.
Yeah, they were. They were.
But you've got other guys out there, and I don't know. I just didn't like the way that Mike used his bullpen, his full bullpen on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it was, at least to me, one of the more surprising developments as the season went on was how shallow the bullpen ended up getting as the season kept getting deeper and deeper into the year. Because I felt like we had so many guys that could pitch in this league and get outs, and he just quit giving them opportunities for whatever reason, one reason or another. I don't know why, but kind of look, though, the top of the lineup did fine. They just never had an opportunity to keep Ole Miss in the game. Your 1 through 5 all had at least one hit. Ethan Groff goes 2 for 4. Good job on you, by the way. You called a big weekend for Ethan Groff. He performed pretty well throughout the series against LSU, I thought.
Yeah, the one play on, maybe it was Friday there, maybe in the first or second inning, that I think it was wet, and he just kind of nonchalantly was going to catch that ball, and it had a little English on it. It spun away from him, allowing a runner to get to scoring position. Next batter is like a 14-hopper through the middle of it.
Dude, I said the exact same thing. I was sitting there watching at work, and my boss come in while I was watching on the computer, and he goes, "Oh, they scored." And I said, "Yeah, there was a cue shot to center that had a weird spin, got by Ethan Groff, and then the next guy hit a 15-hopper up the middle to score him."
Yeah,
all with 2 outs. I mean, that's just the kind of thing that's been happening.
And the next guy gets out. So I mean, this is kind of the story of the year. But yeah, I mean, he had a pretty good weekend at the plate. Made a hell of a play at the wall Saturday, I think, or not Saturday, Friday. But
Friday, yeah.
It didn't really matter because nobody else really. It felt like every game. It felt like we were confused at the plate. The entire game, we were confused at the plate. All 3 games.
100%. So, but that's how the series ended up wrapping up. 9-3. Ole Miss finishes a very disappointing 11-19 in SEC play. 27-28 overall, so a losing record overall for the season, which is something that I did not expect coming into this year, needless to say. Really, really tough year in the SEC. A guy or a team like LSU, with as much talent as they had, having to sweep this last series to even have a chance to get in. And credit to them, they did what they needed to do. We didn't. Now the Red Bulls go on to the SEC tournament. We lock up the 12th seed in Hoover, and we get to play the Mississippi State Bulldogs for a rubber match on the season. We're 2-2 on the year, and needless to say, the Rebels have to go on quite a run to even continue this season.
Yeah, I mean, we have to win at least 2 to even be eligible for the postseason. I don't know. Good news, bad news. We took the series from State.
And then even if you win two, it's still double elimination. So if you win 2 and lose 2, you're under 500 again. So I mean, really, you need to go in there and win 3 before you even lose your 2
Yeah.
games,
Well, that's why I didn't
or
even worry
4
about.
actually, 4.
That's why I didn't even worry about. Say, I just said we probably just have to win it. Like, you might as well just win it.
Well, no, you have to win it.
Yeah.
That is the only way into the postseason for the Rebels this year is to win the SEC tournament in Hoover.
And hey, look, call me stupid, call me a homer, call me whatever, but I think if we could beat State on Tuesday night and then sets us back up for I think 5 days rest for Riley Maddox, and then the next game would be I mean it's a bad position to be in, but it's not the worst position. We've been in worse positions, right? Like I remember having to come to Hoover, and we've had closers that had to start the very first game because we've used all our pitching on the weekend before. So it's a bad position to be in, but it could be worse. Call me glass half full right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll let you have your glass over there, and I'm just going to sit back and make sure I get home Tuesday in enough time to get me a good nap, because that sucker's not going to start till at least 8 o'clock, and that's assuming all the other games before it are actually on time. There's no way that thing gets kicked off at 8 o'clock that night. But of course, I'm going to stay up. I'm going to watch it, see how the Rebels end up doing there. So I guess it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, Rebels have to have quite a run here to get into the NCAA tournament. But do you have anything else to add from the weekend or the week ahead, either one?
No, I mean, not really. Just the only other thing I was going to say is looking at who I think will probably be the starter Tuesday night. Grayson Saunier pitched well against State in the midweek a couple weeks back, 4 innings, no runs. So, I mean, I think he gives us a shot to get some offense going. The news I mentioned about Leger, I don't know if you've heard it or not, but they were talking this weekend that he got some news that said he may be available for the upcoming SEC tournament. And so you get him in the lineup, right? Like, again, me, I'm not a rah-rah Ole Miss is going to win every game because I'm an Ole Miss fan. But I think realistically we do have a shot to go deep in the SEC tournament, and if nothing else, provide some fun baseball to watch here before we round out the 2024 season.
Yeah. Look, I'm probably more of the rah-rah. I think Ole Miss will win every game because I am an Ole Miss fan, right? I think I do fall into that category more than you do. I am a little bit down on them right now, though. They're going to have to get to like Friday before I start kind of trying to pinpoint some matchups and start putting the puzzle pieces together a little bit. Definitely got our work cut out for us. So. But yeah, if we get Leger back, that's obviously a huge boost. Obviously, we hope we get him back out there. But
and the guy that they threw against us midweek that kind of, or not midweek, but here a while back that just dominated us. He's moved into a weekend role and he pitched right Saturday. Or this Saturday. So he's not available. So I imagine it'll be a bullpen game type for State, with an opener. And I think, hey, you heard it here first. If we beat State on Tuesday, I think we've got a shot to make a run.
Okay, well that'll definitely be a lot of fun to follow, and that run will kind of determine what me and Hitch have coming up for y'all this coming week as far as the show goes. We'll just kind of let the tournament play out a little bit before we decide when we're going to end up recording and talk to y'all a little bit more about what the run means, if we're still in it, or kind of a look ahead to the postseason for Ole Miss, or the off season, not the postseason.
Or in memoriam.
Yes, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. So, but we'll go ahead and wrap it up right there. Like I said, we'll figure out what's going on this week when we see what kind of baseball the Rebels are playing. Need the offense to bust out of this slump for them to make any kind of run, though.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it all year long. We've been on his back all year. We go the way that Andrew Fisher goes.
That's it.
As hot as Luke Keel has been throughout SEC play, and as good as he's been at the plate, he's probably been our best hitter through SEC play. You see what happens when Andrew Fisher doesn't go. So he's got to get going, right? And
Right.
I don't have I have all the faith in the world that he will, and get us hot and get us through the SEC tournament, get us into the postseason. So,
I
hotty
hope so.
toddy.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you joining me, and we'll
Yes, sir.
holler at you later this week.
Yeah, I'll be around, man.